Hello everybody and welcome to Marvin Gardens June. And if you're a Marvin Gardens fan, you know that June is when everything you dream about as a garden turns into a real garden. And this June is no exception. So let's get started. Frankie, shall we get down? Let me turn this around. Put you down, boy. Oh, there you go. And there's Frankie. There's Juliet. There's Cassie. And we'll start over where we start usually these days, and that's in herb garden number 1. And there's Coco, doing just fine, and he's with his garlic chives. And next to that we've got, we trimmed back the monster parsley, and it has yet to start growing back. Next to that is the German winter time, which has gone beyond blooming now. And all this tall stuff here is pond irises that have already also done blooming, and we've got some new ones coming in the front here. Next to that is chives, and look at the size of the mammoth dill, and so it's living up to its name. I did not expect it to be that tall. And same with the cilantro. It's shot up and it's blooming. And meanwhile, down here at the bottom, we've got some basil that's looking very healthy, so that's nice. There's nothing going on in the greenhouse except for the fact that we got it all nice and cleaned up. And I've got the step ladder in here because I was doing something, installing some lights, but it looks very inviting for the next time that we get rained out. But let us head over to bed number 1 to start with. And you'll notice right down here at the bottom, we got the second planting of radishes going in, or coming up, I should say. And I do need to go in and thin them. They're due for that. And then this is the same 2 rows of turnips, but we've already harvested a bunch of turnips, and we got a bunch more that are very harvestable. In fact, I probably should get in there and get them harvested pretty soon. Now, these are our 2 rows of carrots, 2 varieties, Nantes half long and 126 Danvers, whatever the heck that means. But I did get in there and thin them, got some baby carrots out of the deal, and I'm about due to go in there and pull some more, but they're doing quite fine. Now, look at what's peeking out here in the brassicas. If I can get in here without tripping. Look at that. Look at that head of cauliflower. It's just gorgeous. And we've gotten, about, I'd say 6 or 8 cauliflowers already. And they have been really good. Now, there's only a couple more left out there. The rest of those are just leftover plants until I get the second planting in. Let me show you what's going on inside, because that's where we've got some stuff going on that's going to be the next planting. So let's take a look at that and we'll be right back. And inside under the lights in June, we have stuff going. Getting ready for second plantings for the most part. In the front there are Bib lettuce, and in the middle are, I don't even have any luck with spinach indoors under the lights. I've only got a few of 6 pots that I planted with seedlings, but I'll try them anyway. And then because I was having some trouble with the okra, there's some replacements and they look pretty healthy. Right in front, those little plants, which I need to thin, are coneflowers, which came as a trial packet for free. And then we got broccoli and cabbage, and then our 3 varieties of cauliflower. So that's what's going on inside. That brings us to these oddball, what I think are some kind of mustard plants that should have been cabbage, but they're not. And then this is broccoli. Now these broccoli have been all small shoots, you know, no real big heads. They've been producing quite a bit, but I'm kind of disappointed with the way that they have been heading, or not heading, as the case may be. Here is our Brussels sprouts. Green Gems is the variety, and they started to get hit by caterpillars, so we sprayed them with BT, and hopefully, you know, they still look like they're kind of chewed up over there, but they've got a long way to go before they start producing, so I'll hit them with BT again if it looks like they're still getting chewed at. Meanwhile, these are just leftover summer squash that we planted here, and they're looking pretty good. They're behind the main summer squash, but they're blooming, and I actually see there might be something down there in the zucchini department. There's also a couple of weeds I gotta get rid of. And these are also leftover tomato plants. So I ended up planting more tomatoes than I had cages for. So you'll see 3 cages here, and then plants in between that are just sort of staked up, and I'm just going to try to deal with them the best that I can. They seem to be doing pretty well, so I'm definitely going to leave them. And it's not like I don't have, it's not like I have other plants that need space, so that's a good use of our bed. Anyway, and you see the 2 dachshunds sniffing around, and the compost heap, which is not much of a heap at this point. This is the grow house, and you'll probably be able to see at the back that we've got some melons coming in, but one of the things about this year is that things, for whatever reason, seem to be growing slowly than many years before. So, and I'm not quite sure why, but at least they're finally starting to come in. All that stuff in the front there is either weeds or volunteer pumpkins coming up from before. I gotta get rid of those. Now, this was just some leftover basil that I planted, doing just fine, and I'm happy to report that the onions, which you may remember were just kind of extremely anemic last month, have recovered. I did fertilize them somewhat, and they seem to have responded to that. The scallions, which is what those tall ones are right in front of you, have been great, and I've harvested the first half of that row. I'm hoping that these don't get beyond their prime before I harvest them, but they're looking great. The leeks are looking okay. They also have responded to the fertilization, so that's good. Look at that huge pond iris that's right smack dab in the middle there. They come up all over the place. But anyway, here's the rest of the onions, and the good news is, again, they seem to be standing up and acting more like they should in the month of June, so we're encouraged about that. And take that as good news. Now, there were all kinds of ground cherries that were coming up in the onion bed, the volunteers, and so we've planted several of them here because we've moved all the bee balm, and I'll show you that once we get over there. But these are all volunteer ground cherries, meaning we didn't plant them, they just came up from prior years. Now, next over here is eggplant, and they've been very slow, but if you notice right there in the center, that is a blossom that's coming in, so they hopefully are also responding to fertilization, and will do fine. The rest of this, most of the rest of this bed is varieties of pepper, dragon roll, and tangerine dream, and I want to show you the tangerine dream. Actually, can you see that there? Those are actual peppers that are starting to form, even though the plants are very small. I don't see any plants or any peppers on the other plants here, although I do see some blooms, so we'll see how that goes. What do you think, Frankie? Can you see any peppers in there? I know you're not a big fan of peppers, which is good. Now, this used to be lettuce, and in fact there is one lettuce plant in there. That was just a cut-off head that's now grown a few extra leaves. We've got some more inside, and I can't remember now if I talk about what... Yes, I think I did. You've seen the stuff that's inside. And so when those get big enough, I'll plant them out here. And this is the... I'm doing kind of a bookends thing with the ground cherries. So we've got some on the end of this bed and on this end of this bed too. All right, so now we're on to bed number 4, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And this row is status. And I've never grown status before. I'm kind of curious about what happens. But if you can see here, there are these shoots coming up, which undeniably are going to be status blooms. This row is straw flowers, which also I have never grown before. But as you can see, not only are they doing well and shooting up, they're a couple feet high at least, but they're also blooming, and they're blooming in different colors. So that's kind of nice. And the chamomile, which was blooming before, is blooming maybe even more, and looking pretty good. So I'm not going to complain about that either. Now, let's go back to okra. Okra, some of the plants were having trouble last month. The ones that were not having trouble are doing nicely, except for that stupid slug right there. Let's get him out of there. But they're actually blooming a little bit and forming small pods. And I've got some more, as you probably already saw, inside. And so I'm gonna make sure I got myself a couple of rows of healthy plants. Now, I've got to step back to show you these guys, I guess. the pole beans, we've got Kentucky Blue, and we've got an asparagus yard-long bean, I believe. And early on, they were kind of getting chewed up a little bit, but I have sprayed for them, and they're doing much better now, recovering nicely. Now, speaking of something, I have to step back to show you. This is my sort of half bed of sunflowers. Many of them are easily 6 feet tall. In fact, I probably have to go in there and string up some supports for them. But they're all doing well, even the ones that have been coming up later, and even the pond irises, which of course are coming up all over the place. But we got little teeny tiny ones like this, and then we got the 6-footers, etc. So, but I'm kind of encouraged. It should make a nice display once we get them to bloom. Now, here are the tomatoes. Now, as you can see, they're all caged up and doing quite well. In fact, I need to tuck these guys underneath because I like to get them to. Oops, this one might be tough to tuck underneath, but I'll try. Anyway, the idea is to keep them within the cage until they spill over the top. Now, these all are doing really quite nicely. So I'm very encouraged. Some are store-bought, some are plants that I ordered by mistake, and some are the originals that I grew from seeds. And I'm kind of looking around. Oh, they're okay. There, you probably can see that. We've got a couple of cherry tomatoes coming in. Oh, here's another grouping of them. Very green, not even close to being harvestable, but everything is blooming and looking pretty gosh darn good, including those right there. Now, that brings us to the official planting of summer squash. And I said before that they were all round varieties. Well, I think I tried to order all round varieties, but I obviously, they must have been out of some of them, because this is much more of a traditional shaped yellow summer squash. We've already harvested a couple of them, and there's many more coming in. These here, which I think are called lemon drop. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, let's see, can you, yeah, see, those are going to be round, but these, which are Ford Hook zucchini, are obviously traditional zucchini shaped. So somewhere between my intention of ordering and actual ordering, which is probably availability, they're not all round. Maybe the lemon drops are round. All right, so that brings us to the final row of this bed, which are leeks, and the leeks are looking much better than they did last time. Again, I've done some fertilizing of all the onions / leeks, and so they seem to be responding pretty well for that. And this, what Frankie's working on. Frankie, why are you eating bee balm? This is where I moved the bee balm to. I just thought this was a better place to have them, and they're starting to bloom, as you can see. And they'll come up every year here, so I think this is a good place for them at the end of this grow house, because they'll get the light that they need, and they won't interfere with the annuals. All right, we're at the other end of the grow house, and so you can see the melons. And again, I had hoped they would be much further along by this time, but they're not doing too bad, so I'm not going to complain. I just have to get in there and weed out all that other stuff that's back there. Alright, so I think the time has come for us to take a little adventure out to the asparagus patch. So we will. And the Duncans are not sure that that's an authorized activity. Wait a minute, hold on. Oh, sorry for my camera work. All right, so let me walk over here, and as usual, I don't know if I have drone footage or stills or whatever, but hopefully during the boring parts of this video, I'll intercut something that's at least entertaining to look at. Anyway, here we are, asparagus bed. The same problem that I have every year is that they just fall over as they grow up. But other than that, they're doing just fine. And we are beyond the actual harvest season. Now I planted some melons out here, but none of them survived. So I've got a nice little area there that's all full of weeds. But that's neither here nor there if we're talking about asparagus. The asparagus is, as far as I'm concerned, doing fine. I've been regularly treating them for asparagus beetles, and I do still have some vacancies where they used to be there, but they didn't come up yet. I'm still hopeful I might get some shoots later on, because I did notice last year that they come up all the time. So let's see, that brings us to the marsh, or the bog, and which mostly is pond irises and cattails. But look at this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at least cattails forming. They don't look like cattails right now because they're so young, but they are looking good, and they're doing fine. And they're expanding from last year, so you know, they're even coming out beyond all the nice rocks that Vanina put down to kind of define this area. So so that's that. All right, let's head back and see what's going on back here. Well, before I skip right over herb garden number 2, so here's some mammoth dill that's doing just fine, and way down below the mammoth dill is some basil. Pesto Party is the variety, and as in the other bed, the coriander cilantro is shooting way up and blooming, and then back down to take a look at the chives, which are being healthy. Another cilantro plant, and down garlic chives, doing just fine. And then we're going up and down and up and down and up and down. This is another mammoth dill. It's standing, 5.5 feet tall, I'd say. And then back down again to, what is that? That's some more cilantro blooming, I believe. Yes, that's what that is. And then we come to some parsley, or maybe that was the parsley that I was looking at. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And that completes the herb garden. There again are the blooming tiger lilies. And I also wanted to just draw attention to the fact that you may be hearing brood cicadas, which I don't think were making much of a sound last time, but you saw the video. But they're making a sound this time. So, alright, let's go back to where we were. Let's get back in here. Pardon my camera work. Hopefully I've got something else to cut in here. There's Mr. Franklin. He's doing pretty good. And over here we got Cassie, who's also doing pretty good. And let's continue on here, because frankly, there's not a whole lot left to show you in this June garden video. You can see the fire pit area is looking pretty nice. I noticed there's a new resident here, which I hadn't noticed before. But guests are always welcome. So, and of course, the Queen, Jolie, is here as well, hoping that something, again, anything but this is going on. Got the hammock up so that we can lie down sometimes, although we rarely do. And the fence planters doing well with marigolds, and the water features also fired up and doing pretty well. So I mean, everything's done blooming, but everything's growing pretty well. I didn't show you really specifically the all the hanging planters off the mini barn, but there they all are, and they're doing pretty well. So, and the tiger lilies all over the property have started to bloom. You can see those guys, all those orange guys, nice. And this is the poinsettia that we brought from outside, and now that it's outside, I mean, it's not blooming any red, of course, but it's very happy to be outside. You guys stay here. I'm gonna go out. You stay here. I'll be right back pretty soon. All right, so let's take a look. Again, I'm gonna slip around here so I'm not shooting into the sun, and show you the pond. And it's doing quite well. It's still the water's still a little cloudy, but it's not bad. I still have not gone back and vacuumed and done some more clarifying. You hear my green frogs? They're over here in the, at least that one. Let's see, can I find him with the camera? Oh yeah, there he is. All right, let me see. He's right there. That's the guy that was just making a noise. And as you can see, he's not very skittish. Great frogs are pretty brave. So anyway, back to the pond. The succulents are pretty much taking over the place. I need to go there and thin them out and transplant them someplace else. Here's Mr. Green Frog talking to us again. The fish have been fed, so that's why they're not going crazy. The cone flowers around the sundial here are starting to come in. And they have pretty much taken over the area surrounding the sundial there, except for those, I don't know what those are, but originally I purchased them as a pond plant. And the red irises have hung on pretty well too, so can't complain about that. But hummingbird feeder, I saw a hummingbird once, and the hummingbird solution has not gone down any. So that's a little on the discouraging side. All right, so as you can see, the pool has been set up for the summer season. And by the way, I also installed a propane tank fired heater to help keep the temperature up of this 3,700 gallon pool. And it's working quite well. I might even do a video just on how I did that. Not a garden video, but anyway. All right, so the pear tree is sun-drenched, and as of this moment, there are still very many pears on there. And we're thinking of getting a scarecrow up or something to discourage the no, that's down. Discourage the squirrels from doing their thing. Now, we've had many of the nectarines drop off, but the good news is there's a lot of them that haven't dropped off and are swelling. So there's nothing to complain about there so far. And same with the peach tree. Although I don't think there's as many peaches as there are nectarines, but you should be able to see that there are definitely peaches hanging out in this tree. And so we're just gonna, hope that that some of them hang on, and maybe we'll get a few peaches. I meant pieces of stone fruit. So again, there's Jolie saying, something's got to give here. This is no fun anymore. And the dachshunds are down here saying, why are you on the other side of the gate and we're on this side of the gate? Well, I'm coming in right now, guys. Hang on. All right. So let's see. I don't think there's anything else to show you around here. Let's just say this, because I showed you what was inside and everything. How's that? Up a little bit. This is June, and a lot of the stuff that was either slow growing or I was worried about has at least recovered nicely, and we do in fact have a real live garden, as is supposed to happen in June. We've done some harvesting of radishes, turnips, baby carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, scallions, and a few summer squash. So that's not bad for June. So I guess I can say we're having an okay garden year so far. But that's gonna do it for Marvin Gardens, June 2021. Everything is good here. Hope you guys are having a great summer, because we are officially there now. And we'll see you next month in July. And it looks like July 4th is going to be like a normal July 4th again. Knock on wood. So we'll see you then. Marvin Gardens, June 2021. Goodbye, y'all.